Hey, let's jump into this Spanish lesson. Someone said, hey, what about this verb sacar and quitar? What about those verbs? What's the difference? Well, a lot of times they can have some of the same feeling to them, some of the same type of use, but they also have a little bit different take as well. So what I want to do is I want to start by breaking down several different uses of the verb sacar, and then we'll show you a little bit of quitar because it's just a little different, all right? Let's jump in. First of all, the verb sacar, it means to take, it means to take off, it can mean to get something out. It's a multi-purpose verb. So let's kind of just throw some examples out there. And that way we can see a bunch of different contexts of how we use this verb in Spanish, all right? So let's start by using an example of to take or to take off or take out, that kind of thing. So let's look at this sentence right here. Mom comes in, wants you to clean. She says, get your clothes off the bed. Put your clothes in the closet, sir or ma'am. All right, so get your clothes off the bed. So it would look like this. Saca tu ropa de la cama. Saca tu ropa de la cama. All right, so that's just one example. Now, before I go any further, look at how we conjugated this verb. We conjugated just like a normal AR verb. All right, so we don't even have to mess with any tricky things. Now, of course, you'll notice though, in the past tense, when we say in the preterite tense, the yo form, that C right there is going to change to a QU. Remember that rule from a long time ago on an earlier lesson. ZAR, CAR, GARs in the yo form, in the preterite only, change a little bit of their spelling. So sacar would do that as well. So let's look at another example. I have to take out the trash. I have to take out the trash. Tengo que sacar la basura. All right, so we're taking it out of the house, okay? Now, look at this one. He took the list out of his pocket. Some of you might say he took out the list from his pocket. Whatever, it's kind of all the same. So, él sacó la lista de su bolsillo. Okay, él sacó la lista de su bolsillo. All right. Now, let's look at it a couple of examples where we're talking about sacar in the way of removing something, you know. Trying to think of a really good example here. I came up with this one. We need to remove the weeds from the flower pot. So got to get those things out of there. You're doing some gardening. We need to remove the weeds from the flower pot. It could look like this. Necesitamos sacar la hierba mala del macetero. It's a big sentence. Necesitamos sacar la hierba mala de macetero. All right. Now, we could also tell somebody, please remove the weeds from the garden. We're asking someone to do that. You could say, por favor, saca la maleza del jardín. Okay, that's another way you can use it. Another word there we threw in for weeds. All right, so you can kind of bring in both of those. All right. Now, let's use an example with it describing take or make something, produce something. If somebody said, hey, something about taking a picture, they say, I want to take a picture of them. I want to take a picture of them. You could say this, quiero sacar una foto de ellos. Quiero sacar una foto de ellos. All right, so you're taking a picture, taking it. All right, another example of to take is I need to get 5 copies. You walk up to somebody, hey, here you go. I need to get 5 copies. Okay. Or maybe you're passing out music or whatever. Necesito sacar 5 copias. Okay. Necesito sacar 5 copias. You might ask someone, can you make a copy of that recipe? Okay. You could say this, puedes sacarle copia a esa receta. Okay, puedes sacarle copia a esa receta. You're like me, I love to cook. You get a good recipe, you want a copy of it, right? So that's another way we could use sacar. We can also use this when we're talking about grades, like what grade you got or somebody got on a test, for example. So what grade did you get on that last test? ¿Qué nota te sacaste en el último examen? ¿Qué nota te sacaste en el último examen? That means that last test that we just took, the last one we did. Okay, now, here's another example. You know how you're talking to a child? What prize did you get from the treasure box? Okay, reminds me of going to the dentist when I was little. If I was a good boy, I got to look in the treasure box, you know. Probably was never a good boy. But anyways, what prize did you get from the treasure box? ¿Qué premio sacaste de la cajita de tesoro? All right. ¿Qué premio sacaste de la cajita de tesoro? Now, here's another example of how we can use sacar in sort of an opposite way. We keep saying, take things, you know, getting things, taking them out, taking them away. We can also use it in a way that's sort of a put out, release kind of way. Yeah, I know it's weird. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it can be used that way. Look at this example here. The author released her new book. Okay. La autora sacó su nuevo libro. Yes. So sacó, we're actually sending it out now. We're releasing it. I don't know. It's not really a good way to look at it that way in English, flipping it around like that, but it actually works in Spanish like that. And, you know, let's do one more. You might be at the doctor's office and the doctor says, stick out your tongue. Saca la lengua. Saca la lengua. Stick out your tongue. All right. Now, let's talk about the verb quitar for just a second. Quitar can be a lot like sacar. It's interesting if you Google this and you look at, type in like, what is the difference between sacar and quitar? In some forums, you have native speakers who like to answer these questions. Very helpful when they do that. That's awesome. And so you'll get a lot of different explanations. One that I've heard people say is that, you know, quitar is more like take it and remove it. And sacar is more like you take it, but sometimes quitar is take it and get rid of it. I don't know. You probably hear a lot of different explanations for it like that. But I want to give you a couple examples of quitar. So yesterday I took the ball from the student. Okay, not nice. Ayer le quité la pelota al alumno. Ayer le quité la pelota al alumno. Okay, so that's an example of taking something with quitar. And most likely when you did that, they didn't get it back. You took it and removed it. So, all right. Now, you can also use it as remove, but not necessarily a permanent way, you know, taking it off and just kind of removing it. Okay, so look at this example. Take off your jacket and stay a while. We like to say that in the South here in the United States. Take off your jacket and stay a while with us. All right, so quítate la chaqueta y quédate un rato. Un rato, a little while. All right. Well, mis amigos, I hope that kind of gives you a little bit of clarification. Keep looking up examples because there are tons out there on the internet. And the more you use these and the more you look up, more examples you look up, the more solid you're going to feel about these two words. All right. So as always, keep on practicing. Hey, join me on the Language Tutor Spanish podcast. We'll practice Spanish together. Got some great ideas coming out on the podcast pretty soon too. So looking forward to that. In the meantime, though, mis amigos, I wish for you paz y bendiciones, peace and blessings. I'll see you soon. Hasta pronto. Friends, thanks for watching The Language Tutor. If you have a question for me, feel free to leave it in the comment section below the video. And please click subscribe and the notification bell so that you'll never miss any of our language lessons.